All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we got the one, the only, former Shady Records recording artist, Cashis, right here, right now on the line. How are you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate being on the call, brother. Let's crack.
Hey, man, I appreciate you for just giving this radio station a little bit of your time, man. I grew up listening to you, man, so it is an absolute honor to be able to welcome you on my platform. So thank you.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. I definitely appreciate the support. That's dope.
And I gotta ask you there, Cash, it's like taking you back to the beginning, man. What actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Um, well, it was all like music. My brother Jaren, he raps too. His name Alco. He was always freestyling. He was writing songs. And then on the block, I was doing, my thing on the block on Saturday nights, and I would be freestyling with some of my partners. And my partners would just, point out stuff, and we'd be bored while we in the middle waiting for our next sales to happen. And he'd be like, go ahead and just rap something. And I was just rapping. And it was dope. Like, I could always make up stuff out of anything we was really living, and I could make up whole stories. And that was cool, but I didn't take it serious. It was just something, I was more in tune with doing what I was doing at that point. I was, very in touch with trap. That's really what I was, I didn't have any other outstanding goals. And then once I came to California from Chicago, my mother tricked me to get out to California, and I ended up not having a return ticket. But it was a situation that happened, and I had to delay, be cool for a little bit. So I went out of state, and then I ran into my partner Rick Natti, and he was rapping. He wasn't even making beats, and he was rapping and DJing, and he was in a crew called Blacktown with like Abe Jenkins and a couple other people. And from there, the freestyling happened again. They were freestyling. I saw a circle of people. I seen a gang of girls over there. So I just went over, and I figured that I could, beat what they was doing. And I went over there, and I did my thing. And then all the attention came to me, which was what I was trying to get anyway. And then me and Ricky Natti formed a lifelong friendship from that moment, just based off rap time.
And I remember as well, back in the day, man, people used to call you the rap king of Orange County, man. You know what I mean? That must have been a surreal feeling, just being at such a young age being called that.
Yeah, they still do, man. They still do. I appreciate that. I take that moniker very seriously too. Like I put in a lot of work for that musically, just really going hard for it. So, yeah, they still do. That was a blessing, man. When that was bestowed upon me, because I didn't create that. Other people created that, and I thought that was big, man. That was awesome.
And also, as we already know, you made your Shady Records debut on Eminem Presents the Re-Up, where you actually earned platinum status. So I have to ask you, what was it like actually taking part in that project? And of course, how did you actually, get connected with Eminem and Shady Records?
All right. Taking part of that project was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Just the whole process of how it went down. That was major. And how did I hook up with him and Shady was just based upon a demo, man. Richard Spoon sent in the demo. He was my manager at the time, and he sent in the demo, and it was with Ricky Natti. It was Ricky Natti and I both rapping in there under the Renegades, and DJ Arcane did the tape, and it just. They picked me off of the tape and said, let's go, let's get it in motion. And from there, I just went straight out to New York, and it was a rap. I went to New York, and I went to M's actual house in Detroit. And that right there was like, dog, that's like going to Michael Jordan's house or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's like for a basketball player to go to whoever they think is a basketball guy's house. So, like, I went to Eminem's crib, you know what I'm saying? Like, where he sleep at, like, that right there was the biggest moment I could say musically. Even though I went platinum, I've had a #1 with on Billboard with myself with the County Hound. We've done all this stuff, been all around the world, but that was the most awe-inspiring moment for me because I felt at that point that I was accepted by the elite level that I always wanted to get accepted by. Like money ain't everything to me. Like because we always gonna make money. You know what I mean? Like without rap, I wouldn't be, you know, struggling. You know, it's just that God bless me to be in a position where rap where I can do way more, which is great. But just the respect, you know, I love the respect. I'm based off of respect. I live my life giving respect, and I feel earning respect. And when someone that's on that status can free will give me respect, it's respect you can't take from nobody. They got to get that with their own free will. So for him to do that, that changed my whole life. And, you know, that's when I honestly got serious about rap. I wasn't serious about rap until that moment. I was still 75% in the street, 25% in the studio. If you knew what was going on while recording the demo and them flying me back and forth from, you know, California, from here to Detroit to come like to M House, and then or to go over here to New York to try and keep me out of trouble, because I was doing so much that, you know, that changed. And from that moment when I actually went to M House, it made me look at life different, and, you know, really accept my blessing and be humble for it.
And also, one thing I read as well, like I've read an article, I do know a lot of articles, they surface, they don't, you know what I mean? So sometimes they're real or not, but I read an article that there was a time that when Eminem called you, you actually hung up on him. I was wondering if that's true. Can you actually tell our listeners more about that story if they haven't heard that already?
Yes, yeah, it did. I was in the barbershop, you know, and it was a call, and it was, you know, they said that, you know, I got a call from Doc Parker, you know, it was my A&R over at Shady. He said, get a call, you know, you'll get a call. And I didn't know who was going to be calling. He said somebody important going to be calling. So I'm like, cool, you know, and I had met Jimmy Iovine. I met all these different people, so I wasn't aware. I'd already met Paul Rosenberg several times, but I didn't know who it was going to be on the phone. And when I got the call, it didn't sound like him on the phone. It was like, he's like, let's see what he said. He said, what up, homie? Hey, Cashis, what up, homie? And I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, who is this? And he's like, oh, man, it's him, man. It's Eminem. I was like, yeah, right. I just hung up the phone. And I, you know, went back to doing what I was doing in the barbershop, talking with my guys and then I called. It came back again. I'm like, man, who is this? So I picked up. I'm like, what's up? And then he talking on me. He's like, man, it's me. And I was like, oh, damn, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what up, though, man? He was laughing and I was laughing. I'm like, man, I didn't know who that was. You know, and then he could hear what was going on in the background, you know, in the alleyway and in the barbershop. And he was like, man, you really out there, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And, you know, he's like, we go, it's time to change that. We're going to get you come out here with me. And, you know, I want you to go ahead and put that pen to work. I told him, like, you send the ticket, I'll be there. And he was a man of his word, and I was a man of my word. And he changed my life from that moment, man.
And that's crazy. It sounds like the first time he called, he was trying to mess with you a little bit, trying to make you really guess who really was on the other end of that telephone.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He was just joking around, and was, now that, you know, over time, that's how he always talked. He's like, "I would up, down, homie. I would up, down." You know, because he thought that I was originally from California, because they told him that I was coming out of California. You know what I mean? I was out of Orange County, and when he started talking to me, he's like, "Man, where are you from? Your accent sounds different." I'm like, "I'm from Chicago, man. I'm born and raised in Chicago on the south side, you know, over east on 79." And he's like, "Oh, man, that explains this and that, how I sound." And then, you know, we just built a super dope bond after that, and we connected. We were both two Midwestern kids, you know. Illinois and Detroit ain't that far away. So, you know, we both knew, and I have a lot of family in Detroit. So when I came out there to him, all my brothers was out there, you know, my cousins. So I had, like, you know, a whole squad of people out there that, you know, and I was moving and rotating all through, you know, 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, going through east side, west side, and I'm out there, and his people are hearing about this, like, you know, people from the label, like, man, your boy Cashis is everywhere in Detroit. He all out here, you know, and Ellen was like, man, you good? And I'm like, bro, look, these are my brothers, and I can go, you know, I'm really like that. And he was like, man, you know, that made him respect me even more, because some artists come out there and be stuck in the hotel room. You know, I was in nice hotels all the time, like in the Atheniums and all that, but, you know, I was always with my brothers and going into, like, the areas where, you know, like Proof was at, and those, like clubs and underground rap spots and stuff. I was, going into all those spots, just soaking up the culture with what I would normally do if I wasn't, famous at that point or wasn't on the cusp of being famous, because I wasn't even fully known at that point. I was just about to be known. And, he respected that. He said I reminded him a lot of Proof in that moment. Also, with the way I acted and not having fear and being able to go places. And, that was another thing that made us bond really well. And, that respect factor, man, that's the whole thing. Like, he respected me. I respected his talent, but he respected me as a person. You know what I mean? He gave me real game. And I appreciate that. And I did the same for him. I gave him, the solid advice and real advice, too. But he gave me a lot of game on how to survive in this business. And, he's just a jokester. That's how him do. Him do a lot of laughing and joking and stuff. When he calls, he's like a prankster. Like, he even shocked me. Yeah, Haley did. Like, first time meeting, like, hey, how you doing? I shook her hand, and, they got that little election buzzer. And I'm like, no. I'm like, what? I had never had before. Them things was real. I just thought them was like in costumes and movies. And I was laughing so hard, and they was cracking up. He was like, man, you are crazy. And I was like, man, I
do hurt.
Like, yeah, I never even imagined something like that could happen. You know what I mean? So I was just like, man, that's crazy. And it was just super cool. Like, that was super cool, man. All that.
And I have one last question just pertaining to the re-up. This is one question that I personally always wanted to ask you. You appeared alongside Eminem, 50 Cent, and Lloyd Banks on the track You Don't Know. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that amazing song? And of course, what was it like filming that music video?
Oh man, it was dope, the whole record. You know what, man, I forgot to say one thing. I was just, I smoke a lot, so I forgot to answer that last question you asked me, something about the re-up to what was it like on that. It was dope, the whole process, you know what I mean? I was on like 7 records on that, and I was on each single that was released. So that was like my almost like my debut part. Like, that's what M said, that project was going to determine who would be at the forefront of the new era of Shady, who was going to be pushing forward. And he said he, thought it was going to be me, but we're going to see what the people said, and the fans came out, in droves, and represented me, and that was big. Now to get to the You Don't Know, I was in Detroit, and they played this record. It was just a beat, and then he had the beat playing, and then I was just, in there just writing. It takes me, I write a song real quick, so I wrote one, it was like maybe, that verse, it was like, maybe like 6-7 minutes, and then I went in there, and then I freestyled another verse, like a West Coast style verse, and then I wrote and did like a twister style, like chopping, like, verse, and then I had 3, and those were like 3 verses for the song. It was gonna be, I thought it was just like, okay, 3, because songs used to be 3 verses then, so I'm like, okay, cool, whichever verse you like. If you like them all, we can put this song together overnight. Them can go ahead and throw one on there, because we was doing my Loose Cannon album at the time. And then he came in with Dart and was like, yo, what's this? And I'm like, the beat was on in your studio, so I just rocked it. A lot of people didn't go in that room where him was at that. People had to record in the other room, but he used to let me go in that room, and I go in that room where he's at, and I just hop on, and everybody was supportive. And when he came back, he was like, this is crazy. He's like, yo, check this out. This is gonna be the record for this. Bam, bam, bam. And then there was a hook he played, came back in here, he had the hook, and, the engineers, they put it on the thing, and it was split during the hook, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And then Em was like, yo, and he kept looking at Dot, and he called Paul, and then they called Jimmy, and they was doing their own little powwow conversation. I really wasn't paying too attention. I just knew they liked it, so I was just focusing on what was going to be the next song to do. And then he was like, yo, this is going to be the single. We're gonna turn this mixtape into an album. you know, and I was like, wow, all right, cool, you know, let's go. And, you know, they called Banks. Banks came through. It was Banks, Fifth Buck, Yayo. Buck wasn't on it, but all of them came down there, and it was just, you know, it was crazy, man. It was a great event, and the video was awesome. I had never been a part of a real video like that before, so that was next level for me to even be a part of that video and see how everybody moved and all the catering and all the different clothes, and you know what I mean. I had never been through all that wardrobe and, you know, all that stuff. That was crazy for me. And then I got my brothers in the video, like my big brother and my little brother. They was all the prisoners in there. It was and my cousin. It was all three of them was just the prisoners, like multiplied. You know what I mean? And that was dope. And, you know, doing all the BET, MTV, and, you know, the behind the scenes and stuff, all that at the video shoot, and all the different artists and everybody that came out and the execs, and just, that was like, man, that's when I was like, man, I made it. Like, this is big time right here. You know, like, this is big time, you know, and I remember them sending me, they had outfits with, like, red bandanas, red chucks, and I'm like, man, I can't wear that, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, and he had, like, a hat with, like, a 5-point star or something. I'm like, man, it's no disrespect, but I can't wear that, man. If I, you know, can't go on TV wearing it. The first time people see me, that's going to be crazy. And he's like, oh, and I kind of explained to him, you know, about my situation. And he's like, I get it. And that's when he incorporated, you know, like pitchforks in the Shady logo. You know, you see like Shady clothing, which I was the whole campaign was, you know, I was the campaign for Shady clothing, and that was dope, man. That was, he put the, you know, the forks on the right for the clothing, and he had his bandana in the right, and it was cool. Like, his loyalty he showed me is why I forever have undying loyalty for Marshall Mathers, man. He showed me the utmost loyalty and respect when he had to. So, you know what I mean? He can't do no wrong in my book. And that re-up, you don't know, that was legendary, man. I didn't know that was I didn't know it was gonna be that classic of a situation, but that was legendary. And he's like, hey man, you a star. He's like, you got this, you a star. Go ahead and get in front of the camera. They love you out there, man. You a star. And, you know, that's where I wanted to get signed at. It was Jim. I always thought that I belonged to Jim, you know, because how they was getting down with the music and how their lifestyle was. So to hear that was big. You know, I'd already been accepted by, you know, the person that my pretty much my rap idol. You know what I mean? It's Pac, M, and Jay. You know what I mean? And Snoop, them, like the people that I just offer, and you know, and Andre 3000. I listen to that 5 bunch forever. You know what I mean? That's my set group that can't do no wrong with me musically. So, you know, to get respected by that and then get you respected by Fifth, not Fifth, in that category with me, you know, along with Fifth and Wayne, you know, and Luda, certain people that I just feel are just legends. So I had the two people that were my favorites at that time accepting me on that video, and Lloyd Banks. Everybody could see how real I was. And, you know, he's like, man, you smoke like Snoop. You crazy with it. And they could see all my guys out there. And, they, you know, I just felt like I was putting on for my city. I was putting on for Chicago. But I was also putting on for Orange County where I live at. You know, where I made my new home. I was putting on and showing everybody what it was. You know, and getting respect out there. Earning respect. You know, earning respect. And always, in every way that I was out there doing it. But that was dope, man. I wish y'all could hear the part 2 that was going to be of that. Cause we, Creek and I did some songs, and a couple of more people did some. Daz was out there from DPG. We got some dope songs that could have came up that was supposed to come up in part 2. Because there's going to be another re-up, and we was going to do a big tour off of it. But I don't know what happened.
And I gotta say, Cashis, you actually killed your verse in You Don't Know, man. I still listen to that song today, and every time I listen to it, it makes me feel hard as fuck, man. Excuse my language, but it makes me feel like that, man. So you guys most definitely did your job on that song.
Hey, that's tight. Hell yeah, I fuck with that dude. Hell yeah. He said, like, fuck, hell yeah. That was the aim, man. I was going through some real shit at that moment. And that was like we had a conversation, you know, there was people going at the label and stuff at that time. There was artists, you know, in the West and people, other places that was doing little slick shots and interviews that we were hearing. So that was me just letting everybody know that they got a rider. That, you know, at that point I didn't have $1 million. So, you know, they had somebody who was just coming straight from there. So I was with it all, you know, and that was a warning. You know, that was a warning. And that was dope, man. I'm glad to give you that energy. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel like that. You see, they be playing at the NBA games and stuff sometimes. I see them playing at I be getting texts when they play it at the Raptors games and stuff.
And also, you were featured on Dr. Dre's song Syllables that was actually set to be on his highly anticipated Detox album, but unfortunately the album was scrapped. Do you actually remember the original plan for that song before it was leaked on the internet? And if so, could you tell us a bit more about behind the scenes of the Detox?
Yeah, that was gonna be a crazy record. The video was gonna be crazy. They had all these super crazy ideas for it. I don't know who leaked that song out though. That's like, man, that hurt. Cause I was asking him and Paul, like, man, you know, once this come out, then we can go spin into my Loose Cannon double CD project. Like, man, let's put this song on there too afterwards, you know. So after Dre did it, let me use it like Dre and Corrupt did Housewife. But whoever leaked that out they was bogus for that. That was weak, man. But how the record came together, I have no clue. I just know I went to Dre's studio. Eminem had a car for me. He had like, check this out. Cause the EP came out, County Hill, and he did like 25,000 out of nowhere. He was like, man, that's jumping. Let's get this. He gave me a gift. He gave me an old school car, one 74 Lincoln. I seen in Detroit, and I told Doc, like, I'm gonna get that. I want that. And they just got it for me as a gift, which was dope. And you know, that I got the car there, and then like, yo, here go, look, Jay, and then Fifth walk in, and he's doing his verse in one room, and then Stat had already had his verse. Him had the hook, so I went in there and did my verse, and then I did some more stuff for Detox, like 4 or 5 more records. And then, you know, I slid. I had me and my little cousin with me, and you know, I remember that day, because me and my cousin on there looked a lot, you know, like a lot alike. And he would sleep on the couch, and Dre thought that was me. He was like, oh, you want to wake me up? Like, you ready? And I was coming out the other from out the back, looking at the top and smoking in a cotton with his dad. And I was like, oh, what up, Dre? And he's like, oh, what? I thought that was you. Like, y'all look like twins. I thought that. And my brother woke up, my little cousin, he woke, you know, we call each other brothers, cousins. He woke up and he was like, man. It was like I was in a dream, Mom. He's like, he said, I woke up and Dr. Dre was waking me up. He's like, man, I thought I was in heaven. Like, you know, and I was laughing. Like, I'll never forget that day. We always laugh about that day.
And I gotta say, that's pretty petty that someone would actually leak that, man. Because just a set list for that record would have been, I think that would have been a diamond status record, man. Like, you guys had some phenomenal records put together just for Detox alone.
Yeah. Bro, Detox would have been the greatest rap album that ever existed, but people, they hated on Dre, they leaked stuff, and they hated on it to the point to where, you know, and then to the point to where music kind of changed. Like, there was a shift in music where Dre didn't feel comfortable enough putting that out, you know, but if you could just hear it today still, you'd be like, whoa, this will go. And music is kind of going back to what's real. You know, it was a little weird spurt, you know, what people do, what they go do, but it's going back to what's real. I'm starting to hear in the lyrics and punchlines, you know, a little bit more originality, and at least people speaking from a more, not more real, yeah, a more real aspect, you know, which I appreciate that. So you never know, man. Dre could come through. I don't know if it'll be Detox, but Dre Dre's known to revamp records from 10, 15, 20 years ago and make them hits for today. That man is a genius. He's the greatest. He's the greatest producer of all time, by far, bar none. Dr. Dre. He's the man.
And also, this year alone, you dropped 5 records so far, called OG3 Rings, Vault 3 and 4, OG, and then also Green Tea. I have to, OG and Green Tea, my apologies. I was wondering, where can our listeners snag themselves some copies of those releases, of your 2020 releases? And if so, can you tell us a little bit more about those projects?
Wow, gangsta. I like that shit. Hey, good job, man. Hey, yeah, I did. I've been on the road this year. I got 3 more coming. I got one that's out today, tonight at like if it's 9 p.m. where you at, it's already out. It's the County Hound. It's called CH5. I have that out, and then I have all those projects from OG and Green Tea, OG Green Tea 2, and all those other ones. Those are out. Also, I have OG3 coming up on the 11th of December, and on the 4th, I have a project called Bogus. It's like 13 songs, and OG3 is 10 songs. And my whole goal is just to flood. Y'all can check me on Apple Music, on Spotify, or mainly you can go also on CashesOnline.com. That's www.CashesOnline.com. And you can get everything Cashis. My merch is going to be up there within the next 2 weeks, where they got, videos, it has exclusive music, it has all the links to all my projects that's out. So, yeah, CashesOnline.com, and y'all can get everything from there.
And I gotta say as well, my next question was actually based upon Country Hound 5, and I gotta say, man, I did not know it's actually out at 9 p.m. Eastern, so after this interview, I gotta go hop on my email and see if I got the files from Amazon there. I end up pre-ordering it, so, it looks like I'm gonna be able to jam to your record just a little bit early.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you're going to enjoy it, man. Definitely hit me up and let me know what you think. It's a deep project, you know what I mean? Like, it got some really, really strong songs in there. I really put some real thinking in that, some real thinking in that, and then I kind of opened up a little bit more of my life. And then people like, when I give them records like Serenade My Life and things like that, and I kind of haven't done that for a while. So, I started going back into that mode, and that's CH5 is a powerful, powerful project.
And one thing I gotta ask pertaining to that record, are you going to be producing any hard copies? Because I do know some artists that are really finicky on actually making compact disc format nowadays.
No, I'm definitely doing hard copies. Everything will be going off CashesOnline.com, so hard copies will definitely be available for all projects, from this the CH5, then all my from CH5 on. So everything from today to my newest ones, it'll be hard copies up there, and it'll also be digital downloads for people to purchase also. Those things will be up on the site in about a week or two.
And also, Cash, this is the time in the interview there that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to. And of course, if you can, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you are doing. But you're the legendary Cashis, man, so I really do hope they're already following you if they're listening to this station.
Word up. Yeah, well, I want to shout you out, man, just for having me on there. I think this is dope. This has been a great interview. I want to shout out my homeboy Rick Nally, the message and getting everything in order. I want to shout out everybody that's on the Bogus Brand roster. You know what I'm saying? We got Chronic, we have Burr Witness, we got Zay Scott, Pack Life, we got Beyonce Gucci. You know what I'm saying? It's a squad there right now, man. It's a strong squad that we got. I want to shout out my whole crew, and I want to shout out everybody that's down with Shady. Everybody that's been down with Shady from the jump, from day one. Keep on pushing. I'm the capo. Like I made. You never know, man. I know people saying like, "Oh, former." Like I'm forever the capo. I just stepped aside to be able to do my own thing as far as release music. But it's always still Shady. That don't never change. So when we had them reunions, and you just never know, man, what happens in the future. It's gonna be forever a Shady thing. So you know what I mean. I want to shout out to everybody from Shady, definitely Paul, you know, Tracy, Dot, and I want to shout out my boy Royce, man. It's my own boy over there for sure.
And Cashis, I just gotta say, first and foremost, thank you so much for years of amazing music, and just also taking the 30 minutes out of your busy evening to come on the radio station, man. I gotta say, thank you for all, like I said, thank you for all the years of amazing music, and of course, also thank you in advance for all the more music that is to come, because it sounds like 2021 is most definitely going to be Cashis' year again.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. I appreciate it. 2021, I got 12. I'm dropping 12 projects and four soundtracks and 4 movies. I got Artist Life movie that'll be coming out in either late January, early February. I have OG and Green Tea, the movie that's coming out on 4/20, and then 2 more that's gonna be coming out after that. So stay tuned, man. I'm about to put in work.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Cashis, for coming on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. It was an absolute honor and most definitely a privilege. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate y'all. 97.7. Let's go.
Most definitely. Have yourself a wonderful night.
You too. Great.